Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're here to talk 2019 NBA draft predictions today, Eli. Draft time is one of my favorite times of year because everybody has hope. It doesn't matter if you're a New York Knicks fan or like a Sacramento Kings fan. The Kings for years have been like the laughing stock of the league. Now that's not actually true anymore. They've actually garnered a little bit of respect here recently, but so I'll just have to use the Knicks as my new laughing stock of the league. But the draft is the time of year when everybody thinks like Kevin Knox could be Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just not true.
Well, but you never know.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the draft. We have all these kids, and they have potential. There's a beauty in potential. You can be anything you want. But I'm here to squash everybody's hopes and dreams and say that Kevin Knox is definitely not Kevin Durant, and he never will be. If you're old like me and you saw Kevin Durant play in college, you would have known that right away. Kevin Durant was one of the most gifted scorers of all time. Okay, but get back on track here. We're just gonna throw out some predictions for the draft. They can be specific or they can be general, and we just scribbled down a couple of things. So, and we might talk about which team is gonna pick which player, or whether or not we feel like a particular player is gonna be successful. But I'm gonna start off with one that's a very cool and easy take. I think that this is a weak draft class.
Okay.
That is not the most exciting bit of information to be sharing with the audience when they come here excited about the draft.
Yeah.
Even if you're a Knicks fan, you're excited about the possibilities. Now, I'm here to tell you this is a weak draft class. Of course, we have at the extreme high end with Zion, and then you've got a couple of really nice prospects, with Ja Morant and RJ Barrett. And then guess what happens? It just kind of goes flat. It just kind of goes flat after that. That's good news for my Celtics because we don't pick until 14. There's surely going to be 4 or 5 teams that screw this up between...
I say 7. Really, because you can't, after Zion and Ja, I think even RJ Barrett's kind of questionable if he's going to be a true star.
We'll argue about that one coming up here shortly. We have different opinions about this, young gentleman. But one thing I will say is that when you look at 4 through, I think we did a mock draft, and when I look at 4 through 20, there's a lot of room for error. So I say this draft is weak, and it's flat, meaning that 4 through 20 is pretty much the same, roughly the same caliber and quality of player. That's my first lukewarm take on the 2019 draft. What's your first take?
So, kind of a long one, but as you know, I am on the lower end of basically hating RJ Barrett in a little bit of a way. But I think RJ Barrett will be picked 3rd by the New York Knicks and will not lead them to the playoffs this year.
Okay.
Seems pretty obvious because of the rookie, but I don't think they're going to pick any star in the free agency. I think Durant's going to re-sign with the Warriors. I believe that just to get.
And he's not going to play.
He's going to get free money basically. No reason to go to the New York Knicks for basically no reason. Plus Kyrie, that whole thing going into that yet. But I think RJ Barrett's going to be the only well-known player in New York next season.
Huh. Okay, so I think we agree. I think the whole world pretty much agrees that RJ Barrett is going to the Knicks at 3. And I think most of the world will agree that they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
What do they have? Dennis Smith Jr. and help me out naming the rest of the players on the roster.
Jordan.
Yeah. It's not top to bottom the best roster you've ever seen. I like Frankie Ntilikina, but we're in agreement on that part. Where I think I have to disagree is just on RJ Barrett.
Okay.
I'm going to probably save that for another video, but suffice to say, I'm going to drop a steaming hot take right here.
Okay.
I would pick RJ Barrett 2nd ahead of Ja Morant.
Now, you know how I feel about Ja Morant.
Please tell me.
Okay. I think Ja Morant is going to be one of the new, basically a better, smarter Westbrook.
Wow. Okay, so that's pretty much Michael Jordan.
It's potential. I'm saying potential-wise. Ceiling, smarter Westbrook.
So, yeah. So he is extremely athletic, and if you could make a smarter Russell Westbrook, you would probably have the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yep.
I mean, Russell Westbrook athletically is probably more gifted than Jordan in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He really is. He might not have the pure vertical, and he might not have maybe the side-to-side agility. I don't know. He's more like a freight train type of athlete, but he might be the best athlete in the entire league.
The game has evolved so much since the Michael Jordan era, since the Larry Bird era. So Larry Bird right now, I mean, I'm going to be honest, he might get blown past by players like De'Aaron Fox, who's just speedy quick.
Yeah, that's a hot take too. Okay, don't come at Larry. But okay, so one thing I will say is that if you took Russell Westbrook and made him a better decision maker, I mean, that's pretty much his only flaw.
Yeah.
That and he's kind of a stat stuffer. He's a go-getter, but he wants to go get his own stats.
Yeah.
If you could fix that, you would have, one of the most amazing players ever. You think that's John Morant? Something like that.
Something like that. Not perfect. Obviously, no player's going to be perfect, but I think he has that ability to be much smarter and not a stat stuffer. I think he has that winning attitude.
Yeah, so Ja averaged 10 assists last year in college, which is, I think he's the first player to do it in a very long time. Maybe it's never happened, I don't know. But a very long time. And there's a difference between the type of assists that Ja Morant gets versus the Russell Westbrook assists. Not all assists are created equal. I think we can all agree. And Ja's come in the flow of the game. All that said, RJ Barrett's going to be a better player. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna move on to another semi-lukewarm take here.
Okay.
I think that the Lakers are gonna strike out in the Anthony Davis sweepstakes.
Okay.
They just don't have it. What are you giving me? You giving me Brandon Ingram? Okay.
Yeah, with his injury problems as well, the blood clots.
Even before the injury.
Yeah,
he's not something I'm getting excited about.
Yeah.
Is he a starter? I mean, he starts
on the Pelicans.
He starts on the. Well, yeah. I mean, if he goes through in this trade, is he a starter on the Lakers? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is he a starter on a championship squad?
No.
I don't know that he is yet.
Well, is he even a starter on the Lakers? LeBron and Kyle Kuzma.
I think he does, and I think that's why Luke was experimenting with playing him at point guard. He's got, he can handle the ball. He's versatile. He can sort of, in this positionless era, he can kind of play the point, whatever the heck you want to call a 6'9" guy with handles. That's his new position. But does he get you excited? Is he an impactful defensive player? He's decent in ISO. He is an adequate rebounder. He's still kind of frail. He just doesn't get me excited. And I could go down the list and tell you why none of these Lakers guys get me excited. Some of them just aren't my style. I like Josh Hart probably as much as any of these young prospects. I know that sounds crazy to you, but I'm about winning. Lonzo, nice prospect, could end up an all-star someday. Is it better than the type of package you're going to get from the Celtics or some kind of package where you have a third team involved? So let's say you can work out some sort of a deal where you can land something like Jason Tatum just as a starter. Okay. Tatum and like a Tatum and a Marcus Smart and a 14 pick, and maybe you can pick up somebody else's pick. Maybe you get the Hawks involved. Maybe they want to do some business. I don't know. If you take on the Lakers roster, you're the Lakers without LeBron.
Yeah.
That is not a good place to be, trust me. I would much rather have as building blocks, some of these Celtics pieces or maybe some pieces from elsewhere. But long story short, the biggest problem I think with the Lakers that's going to cause them to strike out here on draft night and not be able to come through with any sort of trade is because that fourth pick, even though they were really lucky to move up, they moved up to fourth in a 3-man draft.
Basically.
And so to finish up my hot take, the Lakers picked Darius Garland, the highest upside pick at number 4. He's a wide range. He's sort of a boom or bust type of pick. I think that his floor is actually fairly high. He's got probably one of the smoothest strokes in the entire draft. Him and maybe Tyler Hero. And he's one of those guys that he shoots it and he doesn't just make it; it just goes swish. Like it's just the sweetest, smoothest stroke. He's also got enough NBA quicks and athleticism to create separation, and that's where the game is going. So Lakers at number 4, you strike out, but not really, because you got Darius Garland, and he's going to be pretty good.
Okay, so let me talk to you about that real quick.
Okay.
So you're taking Darius Garland, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's a guard, correct? Point guard?
Yeah, he's a point guard.
So you have Lonzo. Are you trading Lonzo anyway? Are you keeping them both? Are you being a 6th man, or what's happening?
You know what? We didn't make the playoffs last year. Hi, this is the Lakers GM. We didn't make the playoffs last year, and we're not even worrying about that. We're just this isn't the NFL. We're taking the best player available,
okay.
And not just the best player available, because you can make a pretty strong argument that the best player available is. I don't want to get into this argument yet because we'll talk about this later. But maybe you could make an argument that it's one of, DeAndre Hunter, Jarrett Culver, Darius Garland, and probably 3, 4, 5 other guys. But if you ask who has the highest ceiling, who's the guy who I look at and I go, oh, he might go out there and get 30 in his rookie year. Mm-hmm. I go, well, DeAndre Hunter, he kind of looks like Ron Artest. He's like a bruiser. He just does not look like the type of guy with an explosive type of dynamic game or any kind of ceiling. When I look at Darius Garland, I think, that kind of looks like Lou Williams. Like this guy gets buckets. Mm-hmm. He could go past some guys. He has NBA level athleticism right now. People think that there's sort of this sage wisdom that all you have to do when you have LeBron James is just surround him with shooters. Mm-hmm. Well, kind of, but how did it work surrounding him with Kyrie Irving? That worked pretty well, mm-hmm. Right? So, you can't just have a bunch of Kyle Korvers and Channing Frys out there, and you're not going to draft the Channing Frye at number 4, although you might if you make a mistake here. No offense, Channing Frye, but I think that the Lakers, you can swing for the fences. It goes against the popular opinion that you only have a short window and you have to win with LeBron. Nah. There are very few prospects in this draft that are ready to contribute right now. And since I already committed to the Lakers striking out on the Anthony Davis deal, I think you take Garland.
Okay. So, on to my second, not really hot take, but I think Rui Hachimura, depending on where he is landed or where he's picked at, will be the steal of this year's draft. So whether he's picked top 5 for some reason, I do believe he's top 5 potential, or he's picked top 15.
Well, if he's top 5, he wouldn't technically be a steal anymore, right? He'd kind of fit in.
He'd fit in.
Okay. So Rui Hachimura out of Gonzaga, 6'8". He projects probably as a power forward, and he's got one of the more mature games that's out there. And you think he's the steal of the draft. We already know who the top 3 picks are, and I just told you who the 4th one is. Are you really putting him 5th? Or are you putting him, is he 25th? Is he a steal at 25? Is he a steal at 15 or 10?
Anything after 10. Any team, like 11th through 20, if he gets even down to 20th, I think. If you have a chance to pick him at 20th, you must pick him. Mm-hmm. Even if you have a power forward, he's strictly a power forward. He cannot play center, he's too small, and he can't play small forward. Maybe he can. Maybe he can adapt his game. I think he's a pure power forward. He reminds me a lot of an Al Horford type. Not too athletic, but really, really high IQ. And if he develops a more consistent jump shot, I think he will be really, really good.
I'm not going to fight you on this one. So this is one where we actually agree. I think Hachimura is going to be one of the steals of the draft, and that's mainly because people are projecting him to go a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. He does remind me a lot of a miniature Al Horford.
Yeah.
You know, I call Al Horford, a robot because he's bionic and he just doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
And their games on offense are very similar. So Rui and Al both have this back to the basket game. They've both got this little bit of post game. They're both very patient. You see, I think it's a virtue in Japan. They really value patience, discipline, and perfecting your craft. And you can just see that with Rui. That he backs a guy down, he takes his time, he finds the blue sky, as Tommy Hansen would say, and he has a really polished, mature game. He also has that face-up game where he can catch it, he can go to a triple threat, he can jab step you 2-3 times like Horford and just drop it, stick it in your face. And he's got range at least out to the college 3-point line. I don't know how that all's gonna translate to the NBA 3-point line. But I'm on board with you. I'll take him as a Celtics fan. I'll take him at 14. Mm-hmm. I'll trade up to 7 and take him. I'm totally on board with this. I think Rui is definitely, and in fact that's one of the things I wrote down. Mm-hmm. My very own Boston Celtics take Rui Hachimura. I don't think it's actually going to happen. This is on my wish list because I don't think he'll make it probably past the Timberwolves. Maybe the Timberwolves pass, but they seem like the type of team that would take a guy like this. Okay. Next on my somewhat hot takes, I'm going to say this one's pretty hot.
Yeah.
After the top 3 picks, we've been looking at a lot of mock drafts. Who do people have going 4, 5, 6? Everybody's kind of got the same crew, right? Yeah. It's kind of like Jarrett Culver, DeAndre Hunter. I can't even, off the top of my head, I can't even think of who we got. Brandon Clark is up there in some of them. You got Kobe White. Jackson Hayes is kind of in that range. So here's my take. One of these guys in this crew is, in my opinion, vastly overrated, and that's Jarrett Culver. Jarrett Culver is strictly a role player at the next level. Role player is not a 4-letter word, but it's like one of the worst things for people to hear at this stage of the year, because you're like, I got the number 5 pick and we're gonna get, drum roll, a role player. Well, I'm sorry to say it, but somebody's gonna pick Jarrett Culver, and guess what they're gonna get?
A role player.
That's right. You got yourselves a role player. You got Evan Turner light, essentially. A little bit smaller. Of course, Evan Turner's got the T-Rex arms, and Culver's got long arms. But this is a guy who has decent finishing ability. He does not have a good first step. His shot mechanics are inconsistent. He is not going to shoot the ball well from the 3-point line in his rookie year. In the games that I've watched, his defense is overrated. Okay. He gets lost on the court. He gets lost on defense a lot more than he gets lost on offense. He's only mediocre at creating his own looks. So, these rookies come in with lofty expectations. Is there any chance that he comes in, and he's a better player than somebody like, say, Marcus Morris? No way. Absolutely no way. and that's, for people that are looking to draft this kid and they're putting their hopes and dreams into him, that's a disappointing thing, but that's reality. Marcus Morris is like a 15-point per game scorer on high efficiency, at least for most of last year, And I don't even mean to keep bringing the Celtics into it, but people need to have realistic expectations. If Culver turns out, I know Culver's probably projects to be more of a 2 than a 3 or a 4, but I'm just saying in terms of just pure output and talent levels. If he turns out to be something like a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, are people going to be excited about that?
No way. I wouldn't.
Yeah, they're not going to be, but guess what? That's what he is.
Yeah.
That's what he is, and that's why I say this draft really falls off after those first 4 picks. If you tell me that I'm going to pick up, I have the number 5 pick. You know what I want with the number 5 pick?
Jarrett Culver.
Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade. That's the number 5 pick that I want. He was a 5 pick. Okay. But you know what somebody's going to end up with instead of Dwayne Wade is Darko Milicic or Jarrett Culver. Culver, right? And you know what? There's only one Dwayne Wade in this draft, and his name is Zion Williamson. And I'm speaking only in terms of talent level. Obviously, their games are completely different. So Jarrett Culver, nothing personal, much love for you, but that's just not a guy I want on my team.
Okay, bear with me now.
Okay.
This is pretty insane. Okay. Bol, obviously known for his injuries.
Bol.
Yes.
Yeah. Also known for being 7'2" and the son of Manute Bol.
Having his injuries problems, it's debatable. You can go top 10 or you can go in the late 20s.
Okay, possibly. So you're gonna give me a super hot take here, and you're gonna tell me exactly which position he's going at.
Okay. I think Bol will dominate the NBA, coming out and averaging 19, 2, and 11. So 19 points, 2 assists, 11 rebounds.
In his rookie year.
19
points and 11 rebounds. Okay.
Basically making all teams that regret not picking, basically making all teams that didn't pick him regret that.
Okay.
He'll also not have injury issues throughout most of his prime years.
I mean, that's pretty bold right there.
In his sophomore year, he'll be a top 15 big man in the NBA.
Top 15. Well, to be honest, if he's doing 19 and 11, he's already a top 15 big man. So I think he's going to do that in his rookie year.
Okay.
According to you.
According to me.
According to you. Okay, so if we're looking at the lottery or the first round, where does he fit? Where do you think he goes? You said anywhere from 7 to 27.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think he goes?
I think he's 11, 12.
11, 12, and I don't have the order up, but I know that there's Pistons, Hornets, or
T-Wolves around there.
T-Wolves probably are in 11, 12.
Wolves because I have Cat, but...
Okay, I'm going to... Wow.
It's pretty hot take, isn't it?
That's a pretty hot take. I wish I could put money on things like this.
Oh, good lord.
Will Bol average 19 and 11? Over or under? I wonder how much odds I could get on that. I could get some pretty crazy odds. Okay, I'm going to say Bol does not average 19 and 11.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm kind of optimistic. So I think this is possible. If Bol at 7'2" can come out and dominate, he can be like Embiid.
Okay.
But at the same time, Embiid did have those injuries early in his career. But look at him now.
If Bol ate JJ Redick, he would be about the size of Embiid.
Embiid is massive.
Yeah. What is Bol, about 220 pounds?
Yeah, he's very skinny.
That's pretty skinny. That's, Larry Bird, when he came in the league, was 220. Yeah. He looked like a toothpick. I think that he's going to need to put on a little bit of weight. Mm-hmm. Not as much as people think. When you're 7'2", you don't have to be, the hulking Godzilla.
Yeah.
The nice part about being 7'2", to quote one of my coaches, is when everybody else is tired, you're still 7'2". And that's pretty good. As long as you stand up straight and put your hands up, you can still touch the rim. So that's pretty good. Okay. We've got some different opinions. Do you want Bol on your team?
The Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, that's my team too, but...
I would love one Celtics. Okay. Obviously what I think financially and being all around the smart side of this, I would not take him. But
it's too big a risk because of his injuries.
Yes.
Okay. So you're just going with the super hot wild take that he's going to be a star, but you're like, not on my dime. Not on my dime.
I go a little bit wild, and I'm like, no, this is serious. I do not want to screw this team, right?
Oh, okay. So as long as it's not your team, you think somebody should take a flyer.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think Bol is an interesting prospect. I think that anybody who's 7'2" who had a foot surgery and was it a foot and a knee? Yikes!
Yeah,
that's scary stuff. Although Bill Walton, he had that, but he had that too. So
yeah.
Okay, that's it for my hot takes. Is that Bol's your last one? Okay. Well, I think we'll wrap it here. It'll be interesting to see. I'm gonna put these away in a safe so that after this season comes back, I can say 19 and 11. What do you know about 19 and 11? Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. That's it for draft predictions.
Peace out.